Hello, and welcome to my video about softball skills. Today we are going to focus on a few different things, but we are going to highlight a few drills that you can use with your young athletes in order to prepare them for middle school or high school softball. It is very important when you are starting an athlete young that you make sure they are safe. First, you want to make sure that they have a glove that is the right size for them and a helmet that is the right size for them. Once you have those two things, you are pretty much set. You want to make sure that you are using a safe ball for their age and their size requirement, and you are using bats that are the right weight. If you go into any Dick's Sporting Goods, you can get measured for a bat and a glove, and they will tell you exactly what size that you should get. As you move on into your softball career, you want to make sure that you use some of these drills in your future learning. So a lot of these hitting drills, fielding drills, pitching drills, running drills, these are really important for the development of a young athlete. First, we focused on hitting, in which we talked about contact point, full swings, and then hitting inside and outside pitches. Once we got to fielding, we talked about one hops, front hand and backhand, and outfield drills. And then we went to running with tagging, going on 2 outs, diving back, and leading off. We followed with pitching, which was our last and most important thing, mostly because it is near and dear to my heart, but also because it is very important for a team to have a solid pitcher. Sometimes it can be hard to find a good athlete that will decide to pitch, but it is really important to keep that athlete healthy and to do the right drills that will help them maintain and be a good athlete as they grow. In these 2 drills, we are focusing on front hand and backhand. When you focus on front hand, you want to make sure that you bring your elbow right to the ball. So you're driving towards the ball with your bottom hand elbow. When you are doing backhand, you want to make sure that you're not dropping your elbow and bringing the back of your arm straight to the ball. In these next 2 drills, we are focusing on contact point and full swing. In contact point, we want to make sure that we do everything right, and right as we get to contact point, we don't pull away or we just keep the bat there to ensure the learner that is where you should meet the ball and you should not meet it out in front of you. In the following drill, we are doing full swing, so we want to make sure we keep our eyes on the tee at all times and don't look where the ball goes. In the next 2 drills, we are doing inside and outside pitches. When we focus on inside pitches, we want to make sure that the tee is on our front leg and we hit it towards our inside. If we're focusing on outside pitches, we want to make sure the tee is on the outside of our back leg and we hit it like we're hitting it towards right field. Next, we are going to move to fielding. We are going to start with 1 hops as if you're playing first base, or if you are a shortstop or second base or third baseman and you have a ball that hops right in front of you and you have to play it instead of letting it go under your legs or through your feet or whatever the case may be. So when we teach 1 hops, we want to make sure that they stay low and keep their eyes on their glove. And we want them to use their chest as their base, so if the ball bounces off their chest, at least they can keep it in front of them. So when we practice 1 hops, we want to make sure we throw them right in front of their glove and tell them to keep their head down. They might be scared at first, but we want to make sure that they keep that up so that they don't drop it. The next thing we are going to move to is front hand and backhand, just like hitting. When you're doing front hand, you want to ensure that they are staying low and moving in front of the ball instead of trying to just reach out for the ball, because that is when it'll just go right by them. And then when we're doing backhand, we want to make sure that they get a step in place, and you want to make sure that they can at least get 1 knee down so that when they're ready to throw, they have an accurate throw. After that, we're going to talk about run-throughs in the outfield, which when you're in the outfield, it's kind of hard because you're not technically a fielder on the infield, but when you're doing run-throughs in the outfield, it means that someone's scoring home or second base and you have to be a cutoff and you have to get it there. So you want to run through the ball so you make sure that you're not wasting time just waiting for it and then getting up and throwing. When you are practicing fielding drills, the most important part to tell your athlete is that they just need to take reps. And it is going to get tiring and it is going to be repetitive, but reps is how you practice for a game. The next fielding drill that we are going to move on to is double plays. So the first one that I show here is going to be a double play between a shortstop and a second baseman. So I show both here where the shortstop takes it first and throws it to the second baseman, and when the second baseman takes it and throws it to the shortstop. There are also a few videos in here of taking it yourself. The most important part at a double play is that before the play even happens, both second baseman and shortstop or third baseman, whoever will be involved, understands that there is a possibility for a double play. They need to be heads up because you don't just want to throw the ball around because that can cause more problems. So when looking at a double play, you want to make sure that you get rid of the ball as quick as possible. So as soon as you get a hard hit to you, the shortstop here flicks it or does a little knee to the bottom, the turf, and then flicks their hand on an upward motion. When it changes to the second baseman, we want to make sure they do a backdoor flip or kind of a little flick just so that gets the ball quick out of their hands and then into the first baseman's glove as soon as possible. As the first baseman, you want to ensure that you stretch all the way so that it is more of a close play and you make the out before the runner hits the base. When an athlete is doing a double play, meaning they are taking it themselves, you want to tell them that they have to make sure that they get one out at least. Sometimes they rush a little bit too much and forget to press the bag, but they literally just have to step on the bag and use the bag as a push-off in order to go towards first base to get that second out. But you always want to make sure that they always are looking down at the bag and making sure that they're getting that first out instead of going towards that second and maybe end up not getting it out at all. The next thing that we worked on was leadoffs and tagging if there's one out and going if there's two. You always want to make sure that your athletes know if there's always two outs, they're going on anything. No matter if it's in the air or on the ground, they have to go. When there is one out, if it is in the air, they should go halfway to the next bag, and if it is caught, then they need to come back. If it is a far ball, meaning they can score or move to the next base, then they need to understand that they have to tag the base, and so they need to stay at the base until the ball is caught and then go and slide. The next thing we are going to cover is going to be diving back and sliding. When you tell an athlete that they are going to be diving back, most of the time they are scared, as you can see in the second video. Sometimes they like to just bend to their knees and try to slide back, but they don't get there. So when they are diving back, they need to ensure that they go double their height on their leadoff, and then when they are diving back, they need to dive back aggressively when the ball is coming, when they listen to a coach that says, get back, get back, get back. When they're sliding, they need to ensure that they stay low in order to not cause any injuries and to make sure that they break up the play if there is a double play or if another ball is coming down at them. When you are practicing rounding for two with an athlete, you need to make sure that they pay attention to the runner in front of them, 2, you, so that you can tell them where to go as the first base coach, and 3, where the ball is, because sometimes people try to trick them out and throw the ball all the way back to first, and then they can be thrown out. And they also can be thrown out if the person in front of them is actually not running. The first 2 pitching drills that we are going to go over tie hand in hand together. The first one is going to be following through into the glove. This is something you want to teach your athletes when they're young, because consistency is what matters, and when they are able to throw a strike into their glove, that is when they can start pitching to a catcher. Also, the straight leg to a knee is going to be another follow-through drill, because you want to ensure that they are following through all the way to their chin, so their elbow is pointed towards the catcher. The next two drills that we are going to go over is going to be weak leg dominance and run through pitching. Weak leg dominance and run through are hand in hand as well. Weak leg dominance, you want to ensure that the pitcher has balance. So weak leg dominance focuses totally on their balance because they have to keep one of their legs bent and one they can only move for. So you want to make sure that they're moving all of their energy directly towards the catcher so that they're not wasting any energy moving their arms or moving their legs, and this makes their one weak leg strong. As far as run through pitching, you want to make sure that they run through all the way through the pitching rubber to their catcher, and this will make sure that they use their power in their hips towards the catcher. Sometimes when you have small pitchers that do this, they try to use all arm, but you want them to make sure that they follow through and use their legs because that is what's the most important. The next drill we are going to do is going to be wrist flicks. An important thing with wrist flicks is that when you tell a young athlete who is pitching, they need to literally only use their wrist for this drill. It may seem silly and they may go to the ground right away, but doing it wrong is bringing your arm back like I show in the second video. The problem with that is you're not making your wrist any stronger. And in pitching, it is super important to have a strong wrist because that is where you're going to get all your movement when you don't just throw fastballs.